Sounds good. Hold on, let me get rid of this backlight.
Okay, welcome everyone. Today is May 28th, and this is SIG Instrumentation. We have two topics today, and the first one is from Han about setting up SIG repos.
Yeah, I thought it would be nice if we had a dedicated SIG repo for instrumentation related, tooling or code. I think it's pretty standard practice amongst most SIGs. I think we have one for metric server, but we don't have one for like, generic stuff or prototyping things. And I thought it might be nice.
Do we have like precedents for this with like API machinery or something?
They are very liberal about creating things. Like I know that like the storage migrator stuff was in a SIG repo. I mean, mostly, I think people are trying to get away from putting stuff into the main Kate stuff if it's
for sure
not completely necessary. And I think that's desirable pattern. And like, we shouldn't be constrained by Kubernetes if we don't have to be.
Yeah, no, I agree, and especially if this is not something that's intended to ship with everything and everyone, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think it would be okay to create a repo. I think maybe we should, at the very least, we should have kind of a clear purpose of any repo that we create. I think it's okay if we say this is for tooling stuff that we want to prototype and stuff like that, but at the very least, it needs to be that, right? Yeah, I think that would be okay.
Cool.
I do wonder, I think we have repo creation as part of our governance.
We do.
If I remember correctly. So I think it just needs to like,
we just need to make an issue, and then they'll create one for us. I think.
I think there's literally a section in our governance about creating new projects for the SIG. So we do need to follow that, but other than that, I don't really see an issue.
Awesome. There was. Oh yeah. So okay. So that's that. The next issue is also mine, which is. Elena signed a to-do for me. Less thing. Hold on, let me find there's a GitHub issue, but I
don't see it on the agenda, but
it's not. It is actually on the agenda. I'm on my personal computer because Zoom doesn't work on my other computer. So it is on the previous week's thing. I linked it, I believe.
Fixing API request total metric before returning to stable.
Wasn't that the agenda, or was it stability? Oh, okay, it was stability to GA that we wanted to talk about. Or there was this other one. I conflated them, I think.
I guess I'm marked for this one, but I think, so the next item that we have on the agenda for today is revisit metric stability cap graduation criteria. Is that the one that you're talking about?
No, I was talking about.
I'll add it. Han, let's skip that one for the end.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's go through this one then. Unfortunately, the link in the
it just needs an E in issues.
Oh, I might have copied it wrong.
Fixed
sorry.
it.
Okay.
No, I didn't fix that one. I fixed a different one.
Yeah, I guess this is actually Hans issue. So this is moving API server request metrics to stable.
Well, yes, we opened the discussion for this last time. So, yeah, the API server request metrics are arguably probably the most important for cluster administrators to establish SLOs. And there are two metrics specifically which everyone establishes SLOs against, which is API server request total and request duration now, which is the new one. And there are perpetual issues with these metrics, cardinality issues, and also it's really easy for people to want to just add things to this because everything hinges off of a request, right? So this thing has like 11 dimensions or something. And a lot of them don't make sense. So we've had cardinality issues. We just recently had the security issue with it. And before we turn it to stable, I think maybe we should just strip it to its bare essence, like what is required for the SLO. And that way, like, one, we reduce the probability that it will become a security issue and we have to do something to it. And two, like I have this link here where we as an open source community have defined SLO, like SLO-ish type things for Kubernetes in terms of like.
Are you talking about the SLOs defined by SIG scalability?
Yeah.
Okay. I see it here. Yes. Yeah.
And they acknowledge that these are like not true SLOs in that like there's like an asterisk, right? Because like our request latencies include webhook processing time, but people can arbitrarily add webhooks.
Yeah.
So we actually have no way right now to surface whether or not we're even meeting these things.
Yeah.
And I think if we go down this route and make the effort to make these like true canonical Kubernetes SLO, SLI metrics, then one, we should reduce the clutter, and two, we should be able to actually guarantee the SLOs that we are saying that we will meet.
I mean, I think the latter part is SIG scalability's responsibility, but I agree. Like I mean, the fact that these should be stable metrics is basically already proven by the fact that every time we mess with them, we first check with SIG scalability, right? Because they will immediately feel the impact the moment we merge it, right? So I agree with that. There's one thing that I wanted to call out. I don't know if we have Matthias on the call, but is exactly based on these SLOs. Matthias has already created a couple of Prometheus rules that follow like the Google SRE books best practices on like multi-window error burn rates and stuff like that. So I encourage folks to check those out.
Can you link that to this?
Yeah,
issue?
it's actually part of one of our SIG projects, which is the Kubernetes.
I put it in the doc.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, I totally agree. We should definitely do this. One kind of potentially controversial thing that I'm going to throw into the room is what if we got rid of the metric entirely and only used histograms? Because at the end of the day, they're actually duplicate because histograms already count all the requests, right? And histograms you're gonna need anyways, but you only really care about histograms for succeeding requests. Or we would strip histograms to only report succeeding requests.
I think that's a great idea. I think there's a reason why we haven't been able to do it is because the labels are not the same.
Yeah.
and we should make them the same, but our labels are all over the place. We have client strings in there, and client strings should not be in there. Like content type.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, or you already included that in here, so that we should review all of those metrics. I was kind of focused on the request total metric, but yeah.
Oh yeah,
totally
no, I put total and latency histogram. Yeah, those are the yes, I think that's a good idea. I mean, yes, for sure, because it's embedded in there. It says underscore total or whatever. So yeah, we should do that. That would be great. So the way that I've been thinking about it is that we basically want internal API server request processing time. Right, exclusive of webhooks, because that is basically the only thing that we can guarantee.
I do wonder, it does still account for the cumulative latency, right? So I'm not sure I would actually exclude it, but I would definitely make sure that we have appropriate metrics that
for both
show the webhook latency.
Yes.
And for kind of our control group, SIG scalability obviously can't have like non-standard, or I guess they shouldn't have any webhooks at all.
Yes, I think we should definitely have both, because you want the cumulative latency as well as the webhook latencies.
Yeah.
And we need to do our best to reduce the cardinality, because if we introduce multiple metrics for these, then obviously you're just doubling. It's really not that bad though, considering the number of dimensions that we have. Like we can easily double these if we get rid of a few things, right? Like, but moving forward, we need a set of prescriptions for what to tell people to do if they want to add something that hinges off of this, right? Like nobody has, like people are just throwing stuff into this one because there is no set of prescriptions, right? Like, I mean, where else are you going to throw the things that you want, right? I mean,
I'm not sure I'm following. Are you referring to what you mentioned earlier about like anything that refers to a request people tend to want to throw into this metric?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So if we have guidance about, if you have core like request related metrics, like this is how you should do it. You should create your own thing with your own dimensions. And then here is a Prometheus query that you can use to join the two metrics, right?
Yeah.
And in that way, like your metric has like zero chance of screwing up this very critical SLO thing that basically the entire world is alerting off of.
Yeah,
that's a very good point, because in the Kubernetes mixin, like what I try to do is actually the count-based availability measurement, where we essentially like sum up our requests by verb and count code over 28 days, and that basically blows up almost on every other deployment out there, because the cardinality is as high as you just said. So that would be awesome.
My question is, do we understand why people want to put so many things into this metric? Like, my understanding is that if someone wants things like clients, like no one would want to have a metric or like have a SLO per user client. Yeah,
I think it's kind of our failure to educate the rest of the Kubernetes engineers on some of these topics, like it's just some people are just new to this world, right? And that's fair and that's fine. We just need to, I guess we need to kind of educate folks a bit more.
Yeah, so my point is that should we so we should promote so if I would if I think how I would need the user client, there are some cases people need those things to have an aggregate or be able to search what our clients used or what versions. And I think this is more for debugging and things like structured logging, which gives you debug information, what happens in my system, what events are in my system, what user clients spoke to my system, and metrics are more about defining state. So we should think about, there was some time ago I discussed with David about having a good, making it easier for Kubernetes developer to decide if they should write a log or a metric.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this goes under our responsibility. And
I could not agree more.
Yeah, and maybe we should think about writing a big guidance. So because I'm currently writing the migration for structured logging instructions, I looked into our current developers documentation, and I quickly say that it's pretty lacking. There's mostly no info, metrics are described, but logs are much smaller. And I think we should think about building a vision for instrumentation in Kubernetes. What should be a log, what should be a metric, and where people should look for it, when someone wants to solve some problem,
yeah, for sure. So
really
the client strings are a great example of things that should be in logs, right? Because these are, you do want these things, and you can break out log-based metrics or whatever with the right backend, and do your counts that way. But there's stuff like that, and there's also stuff like there might be things that you want metrics on which are bounded, right? Like for instance, we have this dry run dimension, right? Which is kind of an odd thing to be in an SLO metric, which is, right? But if we had a separate thing with this dry run, then we could just join the two, and then we could have that, because it's bounded. That is a bounded dimension. And so, right, yes, I think we need a set of guidance and some things, and we should explicitly define these things. Okay, so
I agree. I think we have a couple of more topics on today's agenda, if I'm not completely mistaken. So I think maybe we can each give this a little bit of thought and try to comment on Hans' issue here. And I would love to move this conversation forward.
Yeah. Okay. What's next?
Let's see. Sorry, I guess I should have continued to share my screen. We have one more topic, which is housekeeping wrap-up metrics overhaul.
Yeah, I just added that to the agenda when I was looking through my GitHub notifications. We've gotten some pings from the enhancements team in terms of what's going on with this in 1.19 or whatever. Is this done? And I just wanted to check in with folks where we are with that.
I think we've got Rainbow Mango on the call. Maybe you can give a quick update. I think you recently had some successes with some things.
Sorry.
I think you recently got the prompt tool, the linting stuff to work, right? So I think that's kind of an
yay.
A huge achievement. I think that was a pretty massive rabbit hole. I don't know if everybody followed this, but essentially he had to go up to the Prometheus project, extract things into a library and everything. It was pretty massive, but we finally made it. So yeah, huge props for that. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of one step further, but maybe I can share my screen one more time. We do have 6 minutes. And we can have a look at what else we had left.
Oh, yeah, by the way, I have volunteered Rainbow Mango for a maintainers track at KubeCon China.
Awesome.
I think that makes a lot of sense given his contributions, which we greatly appreciate.
Does anybody know what we still have to do for this one?
I think we should add a test plan.
Yeah, the thing that they were asking us for was a test plan.
What does that mean?
You scroll all the way down. There are some comments from the folks managing enhancements.
I think idea of test plan is having an input from SIG testing, like overall having a comment and approval from SIG testing that we reach out to them and like discuss it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I guess
testing
that's something
criteria
that
is
we should
like,
do.
if scalability doesn't break, then I think that we have, it's okay.
Yeah, this one.
I would tend to agree.
I mean, this cap is so old, and the scope of this cap was not really something that like a formal test plan might necessarily apply to. So I think that we just need to go and like do the paperwork and do the housekeeping to say like, look, this has all already been implemented. It's all working. It didn't break anything. Like, we don't really have a formal test plan because this was mostly like metrics usability stuff. Like, what do we need? What else do we need signed off on?
I mean, we have tests for everything that we implemented, so I don't know exactly what they would be asking for. So is there any volunteers to like get the paperwork done with SIG testing then?
I don't think we have to do anything. I mean, we can just say like, is it like a feature per se, right?
I think
Yeah,
I can
I guess that.
follow up on this one. Rainbow Mango, you've been running with this, so if you want to pull me into saying like, look, that like, if there's anything that you have on your agenda here, like to do for these folks, let me know. But otherwise, I can just go back to them and be like, I don't think we need this.
Is this just updating the KEP to say, here's our test plan section. We're not doing any tests because, and here's the explanation.
We do have tests. I mean, we have tests in our, like the metric stability stuff has unit tests.
Right.
So we can say that, and then we can say that this thing does a bunch of things downstream, and that as long as like our end-to-end tests don't start bombing out, then we should be okay.
And for what it's worth, like we've had this thing in place, and SIG Scalability has been doing their scalability tests, as you said. So this doesn't seem to have any like regressions.
Well, it has had regressions. They've had to change stuff, but
okay, yeah.
But yeah, I think they've made the changes and everything works now.
I meant in regards to the framework itself, not so much the. Yes, we broke metrics, so they had to adapt things. So that, in that sense, you're absolutely right. But I mean, to me, it sounds like we're actually now at this step. So I guess we're literally at the point where we should be rediscussing the API server metrics, and that's even outside of the scope of this CAP. So once we kind of get the okay from the other SIGs, I feel like we're done with this. How do other people feel about that?
Yeah, I just put a comment on the bottom. I assigned this to myself, and I said I will do the paperwork to close out the CAP because I think this is fun.
I guess we should not just talk to SIG testing, but just also cycle back one more time with I think it's SIG release or whoever commented on this, just to kind of close the loop with everyone. But yeah, which I think would conclude what may have been the biggest work item we've ever done as this group, which I think everybody can be a bit proud of.
Yay. And we have more things in the pipeline.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. One other thing. So we have a lot of things in the pipeline. Merrick just started this, got the logs directory in component base. So I was wondering if we wanted a top level directory, mostly because it would make it like, right now we're flat on the component based directory level. And so we have like metrics and we have logs, but if we have instrumentation, basically we don't have ACL problems anymore. We're gonna have tracing stuff, right? Like that is for sure.
Yeah.
So we're going to have 3 out of the n number of things on the top level, which is possibly not super desirable.
Yeah, so I guess if I'm hearing this correctly, you're suggesting we create a instrumentation one on top level and then the 3,
and then move
however many within that one. Yeah, I think that's.
So to give a context, like this is component based was proposed as a KEP as a way to refactor all the components. So it's managed by working groups standard, component standard. And it like, I would leave, so my idea was to leave to like structure of the repository up to them because they own it. There are lots of SIGs that will be owning different subdirectories, but currently so currently it's up to them to agree, and I would just check
yeah,
out
for sure. We should definitely talk to, like, you know, Stefan is the component. Stefan and Michael, I think, are
yeah, Michael,
are the two main component people.
I mean, we obviously want to check back with them, but it doesn't, from a SIG instrumentation side, I don't think it's controversial.
Okay, great. Then I will try to follow up with one of them and see if I can just move our stuff into a top drawer.
Awesome. And that actually concludes our time for today. Thanks everyone for joining, and see you all next time, and have a wonderful local time. Bye-bye.
Stay safe,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.